morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. Let's start. For those traders who are getting the subscription, please remember we also have 2 weeks free on YouTube. So go watch it there, click share, and we'll be very thankful for that. Let's start dollar index. Dollar index right now is still not confirming the downside, although we expect it to come here. This could still be a running flat, and we could still go up one more. So what we'll be watching for if we're going to sell it is whether we're going to have a flag here to sell. Remember, we have a sharp move here. And every time we see one sharp move, we're looking for another one to complete the pattern before it goes down. We don't have another sharp move here. We don't have any corrective structure. For example, see this? You could see this corrective structure in here. Or you could put this corrective structure here. Why any of those two? Well, that's in the details that we don't do here. We do that in our trading. And I can explain that, but that will take you 6 weeks. 6 weeks of training and more long explanation as to why we look at it that way. So when you see a sharp move like this, you know that somewhere in the future, you're going to get one of this to finish a running flat pattern. So somewhere in here, we will get one of that. And if we see that, then we're definitely looking for a sell setup. Now, could it be that that turns out to be the only thing you see and they go back up? Rarely, but it happens. And that means we're actually going to go back up, not down most times when that happens, because this would be a very, very, very small correction of itself within an impulse. It happens mostly within an impulse, right? That is going to finish this impulse and then go back up. So we're open to both sides right now. We cannot confirm the pattern because we don't have enough parts of the pattern to say, well, this is the complete pattern. Once we get that, we will tell you which pattern it is making and where it's going. But we can make assumption because we know where it's going. We know where we expect the bigger picture to go. The bigger picture should come here. In the smaller picture, in this correction, which means this, it could still go back one more up. We don't have any trade set up on this, which means we can't buy it, we can't sell it until we get a flag in one direction or the other. Silver, sorry guys, excuse me. Silver is still going up. Silver, remember yesterday we bought it, but we closed it before this happened. We closed it because we realized it was not going, and this dropped. So when that dropped, that's not a sell setup for us either because we don't have a flag to sell. Just because it dropped, it's not a sell, and it's also not a buy. Now that it's gone back up, we can clearly see that there's an expanding of the running flat. It's going up, and it's still channeling. Again, it's channeling. See this? It's again channeling. So one trader was with me this morning. He asked whether that could buy. I said you could buy it, but be aware that it is channeling again within this impulse. Every time it starts to channel within an impulse, there is a risk. Either this is a running flat and we're going, or they're going to channel and drop. So what you're going to do is if you take the trade, it's still a buy. You would have to be able to manage it, which means this is what we would do. We would buy here above this stop. But we would start micromanaging that trade so that moving stops and all of that, so that if it's going to drop, we will be out of the trade. Or we're going to watch a trade if it doesn't go for a certain period of time, what it's doing at the top there, what it looks like on a structure in the lower time frame, and we would decide whether we're going to close it, like we decide to close this one here, right? We bought this here yesterday, and we closed it. By rule, we should close that. We have rules on when to close a trade, how to close it, based on structure. The rules are based on structures and patterns. Right? So this could have been a buy earlier if you were there. If you were not there, then I wouldn't talk about what could have been. I'm telling you what you can do now. What we can do now is we can still look for a buy somewhere here, and then we'll manage that buy. Right? What do I think it's going to do in the big picture? I think we're still going up. We could come and break this top. So we would wait to see. The bigger picture is, if you want to see that, there's a daily chart I did earlier on Monday. You can look at that and see what it is, right? Gold, upside again. Gold also give us this. We were also in the buying gold, which was closed. Let me go back to the 1 hour. You'll see that. We were also in the buying close, which is the buy on the gold from this point, which actually went up, and I think some people got out or they moved their stops, or they got taken out for break even with this one because you would accept the break even. Now it's going up again. We can look for buys, and then we will see how far it goes. The same thing, you will manage it, right? Euro, I told you yesterday, we're not buying the euro here because we expect this to come back to about this level. And then we would look for the buy setup. Well, it actually dropped a little lower and you got your buy setup here. So we got a buy setup in the euro and it's going. If you're not in that buy, and sometimes you're not there when that happened, no problem. I was not there when I was asleep. So what I would do is I would wait for another flag and then I'd look for this trade up. Right, so we're still expecting euro to go up some more. And then we'll see we're breaking out of this structure. We're getting a correction. It's an expanding flat and we're going up. So there's a buy setup there. Go back to the 1 hour. On the pound dollar, still no setup to buy or to sell. Right, it's just going sideways. So we're not going to be doing anything in the pound. Aussie, we're looking for a buy. Right, I bought the Aussie yesterday and I closed the Aussie. I'm not keeping any trade overnight now until the US election was up and I went to sleep before all of that thing happened. Well, now everything is cool. If I take the Aussie now, I will try to keep it for a longer term because Aussie, we're expecting to go up more. So let me show you that structure in the 4 hour. 4 hour, every time you get a 4 hour correction, like this is a daily one. I'm looking at 4 hour correction like this, you go up. 4 hour correction like this, you go up. 4 hour correction like this, you go up. So at least there's a trade here to come. And that means we're going to buy the Aussie again today, but we'll be trying to keeping this for the longer term because we are not expecting any turmoil anymore in the US. I think things are quiet. So hopefully you can afford to put it to break even and keep it. What will be the buy setup? We're getting a flag right now. We're getting a flag for a buy here. If this flag's become bigger, then better for us. And once it gets to this level, you can put it to break even. They can go back down once more or they can take off. If it goes back down once more, we take break even and we will look for sell setups on the way down. Once it reaches low, we'll buy again. So which is it? We'll see. The structure will tell us. New Zealand, we stayed away from the buy because this one did not go very strong and it was looking more like this, like a flat yesterday, but then they took off. Great, we're going to have buys now. So New Zealand broke out of the structure. Any correction or flag here will be a buy setup for us. So, and we're expecting it to break this top, which means it should go higher. So New Zealand higher, Aussie higher, Euro higher, Pound we're staying away from because we don't have the right setup for the traders yet. It could go. I'm not saying it's not going to go. I'm just saying we don't have a trade setup in it. Swiss still going sideways. And I explained a complex pattern in one of my videos, one of the previous 2 videos. You should watch them now. And we did it in our trading room and all the options we have. So Swiss has this top. If you think this is a contracting flat, this one is going to drop. I'm going to try to make this short. If you think you're making a bigger running flat here, they will come to about this level and go right back up. So right now, I'm not doing anything in the Swiss. I'm waiting for it to break this low or come close to that low. And then if I get any sell setup, which means if I get a correction, I will sell. If I get an impulse and a flag, I would buy. Now that might be difficult for you to understand if you're not part of our group or you don't understand wave analysis or you're watching this video for the first time. Then you should go and watch a few more of my videos to understand structure and how we look at it. You still probably wouldn't get it very clear, but at least you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about, right? So if you're watching this video for the first time, please watch yesterday's video and the day before. There are 2 weeks of free video that I'm doing. Go watch those 2 and then you will see what we do. Yen. Yen is coming down. We're still looking at this piece. I explained the yen could come back and retest the low. And if it comes and retests the low, we will look for buy setups because it will go back up. Absolutely. That is what it's been doing. If you look at the 4 hour, you'll probably get a very quick view. Right? Hands that go up, come back down, go up, come back down, go up, come back down, go up. One of these will break out very, very far. So every time it comes to the low, we look for buy setups. Can it be at some point that you already have the impulse? Every time it makes an impulse like this, we would look for a correction here. If we get a correction there, we'll buy. So every time it starts looking like a correction, which should go up, but it crawls down some more. If I miss the sell, I'm not worried about that. I'm keen about the buy because there's a big buy move to the upside. Again, repeating, if you're watching this video for the first time, go watch the other 2 videos. I explained that one on the first day on Monday, the details in it, right? I think the other 3 videos, sorry. I should say 3 videos already. This is the 4th one, right? So go watch it or keep watching. At some point, I'll explain the whole structure again and I'll do a daily one for you guys. So what are we looking for the entry? If we get an impulse of the flag today, we'll buy. Now, I don't think this one is going to go up because I believe if this goes up based on structure, it'll probably come here, come back down, and then go. That's how I see this part is going to behave if we're going to make a correction here to go up. If I'm wrong about that, then this will just continue to go down. If we get a sell setup, we'll consider it. So some of my traders might be in the sell already because there were smaller sell setups going down. You could have taken those. I spoke about them also. You can take this sell, you can take this sell, you can take this sell. If they give you another sell setup here, you can take it. Now these are more secure. These are better, higher probability sell setups because you broke the low already. So if you get a flag here, this one is a better chance of you going down, higher probability of you going down now. If it's going to reverse, then we would look for the buy setup. And the buy setup would be short term because I don't think this is the one that is going to take off. CAD, we told you to sell it. We told you we sold this. We sold that. We sold this. We sold this. And we're repeating the same thing here. We broke the low. That's it. If we're going to get another sell setup, which means that's if I was in these two trades, I'll close it. If you're in those two trades, you should close it and wait for this to come back here. If this gives you a flat, we can sell again. Every time you sell after breaking the low, it's one trade, which means it drops, take profit, don't keep it. Because after breaking the low, at any point, it can continue, it can reverse and go back up, right? That's how these structures work. I'm not going to go into the details of the structure themselves, but if you're not aware of what we are doing, like, to you this is new or it's strange, or you've been watching me for a short period of time, but you're not sure, go watch some more of my work and you can Skype me to get more information. Aussie Swiss. Aussie Swiss came down, broke the low, it's going back up. Let me take these out. This was to show you that we have to break that low before we go back up, and we're going. Look for buy setups. It's going to go more. It's an uptrend. I did a daily video. You should watch a daily video on the Aussie pairs. All the Aussie pairs. There's a daily video I did about a month ago. Maybe, let me see, that was nope, further than a month ago I did that. You should watch it. It's way back last year. I did one on all the Aussie pairs showing this pattern here and a continuation to the upside. So we're going to get more upside here. It's already showing you that they're going to get more upside, and they want to look for buy setups. If it makes a flag, we'll buy. Right, so you can look for more buy setups. You're getting flags. You can continue to buy flags, corrections, buy. Same for the Aussie yen. Same would be for the Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, you just have to wait for this to break out now, right? This is a bigger correction. You have to wait for it to break out. You can. We have an entry order. We were considering an entry order yesterday. I would have bring the entry order here. You can still buy the flags. You're getting a flag to buy. You don't have to worry with the entry order. You're getting a flag here. If this flags break out, it's going to come here. You can put it to break even. They would either come back here or they would break out. We're looking for the breakout. We're not looking for the one more trade down. These are tough to trade and it's useless. You might not get them. But once it breaks out, it's going to break out of this structure, and then it would likely break out of that structure. So we're looking for the breakout trades, right, if we get them. Aussie New Zealand. Aussie New Zealand is going up. You can look for a trade. It's going to be tough to trade. Like it's impossible almost to trade those. You have to have patience and a lot of it. Now, if it starts to go up from here, would be a better trade. Right? If it starts to go back up from that point, there's a correction there. That would be a better trade in terms of risk to reward. Euro Oz, it's breaking. We looked at this yesterday. If we get a correction here today, we'll probably go for the sell. We wanted to pull back like this, give you a small correction there, and then you can look for that sell setup. It's going to continue to go more. There's a big pattern that we broke already, and we're going down. Same with the Euro New Zealand. It went up. If you were looking at Monday webinar when we were here, we said we wanted to break that top, right? If you look at the webinar, see, we wanted to break that top. And once we break that top, we'll be looking for the sell setup to the downside. So go back to the 4 hour. Why that? Because it's going down, see? And you're looking at these structures, these corrections. Breaking this top would have been a running flat. It turns out we're coming close to the top running. Now it's an expanding flag. So if you get a flag here, you can go for a sell, right? And I think they're making a flag right now. So that would probably be sell setup today for us. Okay, 1 second, guys. I'm on baby watch, so there is some noise there. Let me just take off the noise, and I will take this. Let me just get my wife up. 1 second. Part of doing the webinar for YouTube, right? With this noise on. So give me 1 second. Okay. Yep. Somebody else will get her. My wife will get her. I was in the what? So give me 1 second. Let me take 1 second break, please. I'll just pause the video, pause the recording, resume recording. I hope there isn't a big pause on the recording itself there. Sorry, guys, I had to take a break. Let's come back. Yep. So the Euro New Zealand, we're looking for more sell. Remember, all of these are breaking out of really, really huge patterns, huge corrections. And the Euro New Zealand, I can show you what we were expecting from it very fast. So we're expecting this to come down some more here, and then we're going to see a move up. This is going to be a running flat pattern, right? So you got an impulse, you get 1, 2, 3, and then you get another impulse up, right? This is a very common pattern. You would hear me talk about running flat pretty often. So go to the 1 hour, look for more sell setups. EuroCAD, it broke out already, and you might get another. It's moving fast now, so you might get another sell setup here, which is worth going for. Putting it on the 4 hour. If you get a correction there, look for it. If it reverses, and it could reverse because we just broke the low here, right? So if they go back up and make a flag, look for a buy, because we will come back, break this top, and we will retest this one here, right? So if it goes up today, this would be a trade you'd look for, right? That would be a very, very good trade to look for if that starts to happen. 1 second. Good. Euro Swiss. This would just like the EuroCAD should break out, but it's not breaking out. So I think you probably stay away from this one. It's a more complex pattern. If you look at it, you can see the daily. It's making a very complex pattern there. You should have downside trade, but it's not moving very fast. So probably stay out of this. Euro yen, we're looking for a buy setup. That didn't happen. It dropped. So we're waiting for the break of that to buy. It dropped lower. All it's making now is a bigger correction. So we'll have to wait and see if it's a correction. This is going to give us this here. If it comes back here, then we're looking for the sell. You're going to get this pattern. If it goes under this low, it's not a sell. You don't want to sell this here with a sharp wave, because if it comes here, it's going to be a running flat and it will confirm the downside. So we don't have a buy or a sell setup on this as yet, because you can be tagged in something that looks like this. So you don't want that to happen. Wait, if it didn't break that top, then we drop lower, we wait, because we have to see what pattern it is making, and then we make the decision on the trade. So the decision would be, is it coming back here? Right? See, I have those two lines here. What I'm looking for is a pattern that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it could be they're coming back here. We just need to confirm that by getting a pattern in here. And if we get that pattern, we'll sell it. Right? So sometimes these patterns are more complex than the ones you're looking at right now. So we're always starting with simple patterns, moving on to complex patterns. If the simple patterns plays out well, then the trade goes in our direction. If the trade is not going, but it's staying within the zone, which means if it is becoming this, then it becomes a more complex pattern. You have to decide whether it's going to go far or whether it's going to stop. And that's still tradable. It's just that at that moment, you just have to wait. And that is what we're waiting in this piece, right? So all of these things, if you're new, you're going to have a lot of problem understanding, but just keep following. Eventually, you'll get it. So Europong, it dropped. We looked at it. It's not a trade I want. I spoke about it. I think it can go a little more down. I'm not quite interested in that trade. I'm interested in the upside, and there's a reason for that. I'll get interested in that trade when I have a 4-hour correction. If this here stops and make a 4-hour correction, then I'll be interested in the sell, because it will come and break this low. But if this piece is going on as a flag, I'm not quite interested, because this could be very short and then you could start to go back up. I don't see the impulsive move to the downside, so we're not. There is a sell setup there, but I'm not interested. But if we get a buy here today, I'll take it. If this turns out to be a buy, I don't like the fact that it's so low. I'll go for the buy. If it comes lower than this, go back up, it's a sell setup again. Right now, you may ask, well, you just said it's a buy. Why? Well, it's a buy as long as we haven't broken this low or we haven't come too low. If it comes too low, then this is still a correction, but that correction is going to confirm a flat pattern for downside. If it goes now, it could be a correction for upside rather than a flat pattern for downside. See, that's something you just learned there. Pangos. Pangos is giving you a good sell setup here. So if that confirms, we're breaking this structure. And we wanted it to break that structure. See that line there? We wanted it to break the top there and then break the structure. And this could be a good sell setup for us. Now, it's going up. So good for me. That's what I want. I want it to go back up. And then I can put my sell order in. All right? Let's put this for a sell. Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand, we don't have anything right now. But it broke the top as we were expecting. So we're looking at this pattern, which means we want the consolidation here, and then we're looking for that trade down. See, that should happen today, most likely. Pound Swiss. Pound Swiss broke the top. We wanted it to break this top, and I think we wanted to break the bigger top. So Pound Swiss could go up some more. I'll be careful here. We wanted to break this top. So this could go up some more. Nothing says it can't pull back and then go, but the bigger picture is go some more, and then we're interested in the sell. Do we have a buy setup in it if it's going to go more? No, we don't. Or we don't have any buy setups. Yen, okay, great. So remember we said the big picture, and this is downside, we're looking for the sell setup, and then it go up, we got a buy there, some of our traders, and this one, some bought it, some didn't buy it. It broke the top, you got to get out of it. Now we're going here, right? So if this turns out to be what we think we're going to get is a corrective structure, we'll look for the sell, right? It's making a corrective structure there. If this go retest the top, not interested in that one. Risk to reward on that trade is no good. And once they break the top, the likelihood is going to come. So you'd say, well, what if this just takes off? What if it breaks out of the structure totally? You keep saying it's going to go down, whatever. Well, first thing, if it breaks out of the structure, I'm not in the trade. There's no need to worry about something that you're not in, right? So somebody said, but you're wrong about it. So what if I'm wrong about this? Because structurally, I trade structure. And structurally, this says, when you see this, look for sells. When you see this, look for sells. Right? So I'm looking for a sell. If it doesn't give me a sell setup, so be it. It's not about being right or wrong on this all the time, right? But most of the time, we get it right. Look at all my forecasts, you'll see. So if we get the sell setup, we're going to be in for a big move to the downside. What if it breaks the top? It's only giving us one piece of information. And that is, it is making a running flat. So we still have a sell setup. Go back to the 4 hour. If this comes down here today, we would look for a sell setup. Sorry, let me take this off. If it crawls up back, I'm not interested in the buy. Good. If this comes down, we're looking for the sell in that. I'm not looking for the buy in it. Punkad. This dropped yesterday. We see that one. We anticipated that sell. It didn't break. It doesn't break the low, so I'm a little careful here. But this big picture is upside. This big picture is upside. The only question is this pattern complete? If it doesn't break the low, I'm not quite sure it's completed, which means this becomes a flat of its own. We go back up, we come back down, and then we go. By not breaking the low, it has changed the structure I'm looking for. Because I was expecting it to break the low, complete that structure, and go back up. So do we have upside buy? There was a buy setup here. This was a sell, take that off, that's gone. You're looking for a buy setup here. It's kind of gone, but if we get another flag, we'll take it. If we get another flag, it's a good trade. New Zealand yen. It went deeper than expected, but it still go up. You probably wouldn't buy this one. You wouldn't buy this is your first buy. That would be your first buy. Not these two. These two are still in correction zone. I wouldn't buy it, but this could be your first buy that is out of the correction zone. If you get a correction here, we can go for a buy. New Zealand Swiss also breaking out. If you get a flag or a correction, it's a buy setup. New Zealand CAD, we were buying this yesterday. We would have closed that for break even because it didn't go anywhere. And that means if this happened, it's a buy setup. Canadian, not buying this because the big picture is downside, but it likely could go up some more. Break this top. And then we'll see what happens. If it breaks that top and break out of the bigger daily structure, that could change the view, right? If it breaks out of this entire thing and consolidates. So it has to break out here and then pull back like this, then we would look for buy setups. Otherwise, to that, I'm not buying into this structure set. And there is no sell setup. We're looking for the sell, but there is no sell setup there right now. CAD Swiss, stay out of it. You have a nice sell setup here, but it's not going to go far. If you're lucky, they drop, but I don't think so. It's most likely it's going to come back slowly back to this level and then go right back up. Swiss yen, you have a buy setup here. Could be short term. They're not moving very far. You could see, and they pull back very quick. So look at this one, right? It moves and pull back. So you would have to get this, take profit, and then get out if you get that trade. Take profit and get out. This one has gone up some more, and I think there's more upside. We were looking for a buy in this, and you're getting another setup here for a buy. Oil. Okay, so if you're buying, you're doing well. Remember, I think it was on Monday when we had this one drop here. Let me go. Oh, sorry, I'm in the daily. Let me go back to the 1 hour. In here, right? This was an area. Sorry, in this piece when we got that drop. If you're trying to buy, you got this trade, and then you close because it didn't go. This is coming back down. It will probably come back to this level. You get this, and then we get upside. So I would be careful of going for the sell because not every time they will break this low, especially in a structure like this. This one could likely just work its way down to about this level and then go back up, and that would be okay. All right, so you have to be careful of it. But if you want to buy it still, you can put an entry order above the top. That's what I would do. I put an entry order above the top just in case this does this and take off, right? Which means it doesn't go down, but make a smaller correction here and take off. That could be a good trade setup. Oil, same here, same view, same thing. Natural gas, wait, you're getting a buy setup here, so you could actually put an entry order here. You could bring that entry order down to this level. We're only looking for the buy in this one. If it breaks the low again, and it's likely going to break the low again, we're not interested in the sell. There's a reason for that. There's a very big move to the upside. There's a very small move to the downside. If you bought this, you're doing well. It moved fast. It was going slow, right? We were saying buying it, but it will go slow, but it moved fast. So you're lucky in that one. Same would be here. This one didn't go. So if you bought this, you're not so lucky. Your buy would be here and it didn't go. If you get a consolidation, look for more buys. And the same would be in the S&P 500. Well, you may be lucky in this one because if you bought here, there's a flag there. This one moves faster. So if you get another correction here, you can look for a buy there. Just be careful. Take your profit off of these trades. That is my view. You should take your profit off. Don't keep them. Because on the big picture, this thing could start coming down anytime soon. On the big picture, you could get another drop like this very soon. Or a bigger correction like this, depending on how you look at this. We were looking at this as the flat end of the structure, and this is the start of the bigger correction. Now, it has gone a little higher than that, but I don't see that as a problem. We've seen running flats where they do this, then come here and then go, right? We've seen those running flats pattern. So for me, that has not changed the view as yet, until probably because some traders were looking at it and said, well, what if this is it? What if that is the bigger pattern and this is just a smaller one of its own? Also possible. It's possible, but we wouldn't know that as yet. But if that is happening and we're getting divergence like this, then the drop here would be much bigger than this. The drop there would be worse than we thought, and it's going to drop. If you don't think it's going to drop, it's going to drop because all you've just said is that this is the final wave to the upside, right? We had a wave here. We had a correction here. If you're telling me this is the correction, which I think is too small to be the correction, but if that is a correction, then this is the final wave up for the bigger drop. So more so you have to be careful, especially when you have divergence on the daily and divergence on the 4 hour. See, when you're seeing those divergences, what they're telling is momentum is dying out, so you have to be very careful with the buys. It doesn't mean you don't buy it. It just means you buy, you take your profit, you get out, and you just leave it. DAX, same thing. You can buy here. You're getting a flag. You're not so lucky in this one if you bought it because it didn't go anywhere, but it's consolidating, so it will probably go. Aussie 200, if you bought this and we gave you the buy setup here, sorry, you're lucky there was a flag here to buy, so you're getting that trade. Good. That's going. Go back to the 1 hour. Yep, you had a flag here. You had a flag here. There are two buy setups there. Nifty, you're not getting much flag, but you just have to take the trade from the break of this and wait for another correction. It's not making flag, but it's not moving fast. Tesla correcting, so that's good. Good for you. It's correcting, so probably do this, come back here. You might get a correction in here. You might get a break of the low and then upside. So it's in correction. Just wait until it's finished and then look for the trade. Amazon is going up. Did we break the low? Okay, we haven't broken the low. So we've got a 1, 2, 3. We can probably look at this as a flat here. And if this goes back up like that, then we're still going to come down because I don't see them going up without breaking this low. So all we're getting is a more complex pattern here, unless we're going for a contracting flat. So what I would do is if you get a correction here, take it to break this top. Put it in the break even and see if they come back down. Because if they're going to go with a contracting kind of a pattern here, and it will either be a contracting flat or a contracting, and I don't see a triangle there. It has to be a contracting flat with this piece. So we'd have to go with a contracting flat with this piece, and this is a slow move up starting from this point, going up, right? It's not the best structure to trade, but if you get a flag, take a trade, put it to break even. Because if they make a flag, you'll get one more impulse, right? See this correction? You get an impulse. So if you get a correction here, you'll get one more impulse, and then you can put that into positive and see whether it comes back down. It should go back down. Based on the structure that I'm expecting, it should go back down and break that low. We'll see within 2 weeks, right? SLR, this is consolidating here, so you will get more sells. This one, we were anticipating that it should go back up here first before they drop. If they consolidate here, we'll get a running flat in the making. The sell is possible, but it's going to be short term. Okay, this one is a buy. We told you about that. We're looking at this structure. We anticipated it would stop here, but it went to expanding flat. That's a buy. And if you get another flag, you buy. Right, so this one we call the buy. It's going well. Reliance up to break that top. Now the question here is whether this will continue to go, right? So somebody was sending, I told you yesterday, somebody sent me a chart that this could be all the correction and this one would go. I don't think so, especially when they consolidated the low. So I'll be very cautious. We were trading this back to break this top. See, I draw the top, break the top. So if you broke that top, I would say move your stops very tight and wait to see what happens, because my anticipation is that this would come back down here before they go. So this would become the bigger correction in play. Now, if I'm wrong about that, they'll just continue to go. You wait for another flag and you buy. If you're in the buy already, then you should be in the buy from this one. There was a flat here that was a buy setup, and there was a flag here that was a buy setup. You can just move your stops and stay with it if you want to. If not, just close the trade, wait to see what happens. Bitcoin still in consolidation. Yes, it is still there. And this is probably going to give you some more consolidation. You still have to go back up at some point. This will probably have to go back up at some point, come back down, and then go, if it's going to make these two flats that we were expecting. So no big trade setups, but you can trade within these zones. As we're talking about $3,400 to $4,000. So it's tradable. You just have to find the right flag and then take the trade. XRP, more downside. I still think it's looking, this whole piece is looking more downside to us. So this could come back here, but the whole big picture is still looking downside. ETH, okay, we might have got ourselves a running flat here already. It came down. So if this is going to be a running flat there, it's a bit small. This one is a bit small. I'll be careful. I wouldn't take the bias yet. We want it to break and come like this and then go back up. that would be a perfect running flat. So if you get a sell setup and you drop there, or you don't get a sell setup and drop here and it starts to go back up, then that becomes a good trade setup. LTC, downside, and you might be getting the downside here if they consolidate here. This could be a sell. At least to break this low, and then we'll see what happens from that point. I think that's about it. I managed to finish in 45 minutes, like I promised. I'm doing these very short, very fast, because the details are in the Monday, Tuesday ones. Coming to this weekend, what I would do is Sunday, I would do 2 webinars for you guys. If you watch all the videos, I would do a webinar on Sunday for Monday, the daily webinar, and I would do a webinar on the daily structure for you guys. So it will be a long-term view on the daily structure and all the charts that we look at, right? If you watch this video to the end, please share, and we appreciate that. So if you're interested in joining us, send me a Skype message. My Skype is in the description at the bottom. Thank you very much. Have a good day and trade safely. And stay away from the COVID. Stay safe.